everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome to the top 10 solo gaming experiences I had in 2020. Now, I'm not known for being someone who likes playing solo board games, and indeed, it's not necessarily my first choice by far. In 2020, we had the opportunity to play more games solo, so these are my favorite games I played. Many of them are from 2020. Some of them came out earlier than that. I just happened to play them for the first time in 2020. I actually did a solo marathon, and some of these games were played during that time, and some games were played at other times. So this is just kind of what I think about that. I do find that for myself, narrative matters a lot in a solo game, so I tend to like a solo game that could also be played as a cooperative game. I like those better than, let's say, playing a heavier Euro game against a computerized opponent. Those are not as interesting to me. More of a, I'm going through a story on my own, kind of like a choose your own adventure book. That tends to appeal to me the most, I'm finding, for myself. Anyway, here we go. Number 10 is Rush MD. Now, Rush MD, which was a sequel to Kitchen Rush, this is a hospital game, and I liked playing it cooperatively. But as a solo game, I also enjoyed it a lot. Here I am just moving around the hospital, and I don't know, it's a speed game, but as a solo game, I was sitting there doing things. I don't normally like doing these by myself. I like chatting with other people and working together. And indeed, it is fun playing with other people, but I also found it to be a lot of fun just working with other people to move patients from this spot to another spot. I don't know, there was something about it that just really appealed to me. Number 9 is Metro X. This is, I believe, on my list, the only, no, it's not. It's one of the only roll and write style games. Roll and write games work well as a solo game because essentially it feels like a puzzle. I'm someone who tends to like logic puzzles and Sudoku and, you know, different things like that. That's fun for me, and that's kind of what a roll and write on its own is. This is actually a flip and write where you flip cards over and you're filling in a little Metro. In fact, I think I prefer this one solo to with other players. It's such a solitaire puzzle that having other people play at the same time would still be the same experience, essentially. Number 8 is kind of an offshoot of the other games. It's not as similar to those, and that's Monumental. Now, Monumental I really like with 2 or 3 players, but it worked really well as a solo experience. Here I was playing against a computerized opponent, but since Monumental is so much about building up your kingdom, it's a deck builder, civilization game where you are building your civ, and each turn you're going to be picking a row or a column and using the cards in that row or column to do better and greater things and buy cooler cards. That is a neat, fun way to play, and I really like the game anyway. And so having a computer opponent that does some things and interferes with me a little bit but isn't too big of a deal, I found to be a lot of fun. So, Monumental. Number 7 is Sanctum. Now, Sanctum, again, I think works for me because essentially the experience is solo. In Sanctum, everybody is moving together. You're cooperatively fighting a giant creature, but you want to do the most damage in a way. It's not a cooperative game. So because of that, again, it works well solo. Here I am, I'm going through, I'm leveling up. Feels like I'm like a dungeon crawl to some degree. I'm just going through, leveling up, leveling up, leveling up. And the final boss, big bad guy, actually was not as bad in a solo game. I found it very lackluster in a multiplayer game. In a solo game, it's still a little lackluster, but it's much faster and easier to deal with, and I just found it to be a very good solo experience. Number 6 is MICROMACRO. Now, MICROMACRO also is fun as a cooperative game. MICROMACRO is this big Where's Waldo style board where you're looking all over the map, and oh, here's something. And as a solo thing, it's fun. I've looked at books before, looking for things in the book, and you have this big sheet, you're looking, trying to solve the mystery. I do like it slightly better with at least 2 people so we can talk out the thing, but it worked really well on its own. Number 5 is Alter Quest. Now, Alter Quest is a dungeon crawl. I haven't reviewed it on the channel yet. I will be reviewing it soon. Which is a throwback, unlike other games which have a campaign. This one is straight up one dungeon thing. But it's based on the system that the Sadler brothers have done with cards, and there's a lot of checks in it. Check this card, check that card, check this one, check this thing, check that, check this, check this. If you play with more than one player, that can be a little annoying. Playing by yourself, not as big of a deal. There's still a lot of things to check, and still I feel like maybe I've missed some of them. But I found it to be very enjoyable and interesting. There's a lot of cool aspects to the game. Alter Quest. Number 4, my other roll and write is Super Skill Pinball 4K. This is a pinball game. I love pinball. Had a chance to go to a pinball place this year and I played for hours. Just entertaining, just keep playing and playing and playing. And this one here, there's 4 different pinball boards. You roll dice. It helps move your ball around. It's not as fast as a pinball game, obviously, but I think it does a really good job at bringing that theme to life. Number 3, Chronicles of Crime 1400. Now, I did play a game with this with a group. I played a game with this with my wife, and I played games with it solo. I liked the group games, again, slightly more, but solo was not a bad experience. I sat there, thought about who I was going to talk to, tried to puzzle it out, spent time moving around. It was just an entertaining experience for me. I really do like Chronicles of Crime. Number 2 is a surprise to me, and that's Coffee Roaster. You can watch me learn to play the game through multiple mistakes. When I did it through the solo marathon this year, Coffee Roaster is the only game on this list that is specifically only solo. And it's so fascinating. It's a puzzle, a push your luck upgrade. It's going to be slightly different from game to game. I don't know any way to explain it. It's really well done. And so I was very like, I don't like coffee. And a game that's only solo, and I came out of this one very impressed. I played a lot of games that were only solo this year. I played Friday and Onirim, and neither one of those really impressed me, but Coffee Roaster really did. It was an entertaining, interesting game that I want to play over and over again, which would make it worth buying. And number 1 for me is ETHERFIELDS. Now, you saw us play ETHERFIELDS live together as a group here on the channel. We played it together when we first got it. But the majority of my playing of ETHERFIELDS has been solo, and it has been a blast. I've really enjoyed playing through it. There's so much depth and interesting things going on in this game. Solo lets me make decisions really fast. The numbers and math, I'm sitting there and I'm just talking through it. I played the 30+ hours of this game solo, and it's just been interesting going in dreams and learning and doing new things. It is fantastic. Now, I did not include, just so you know, I did not include on this list games that I played on the iPad, because I played a lot of those this year. That's a different category, and I might do a top 10 list on that in the future. But as of now, as actual board games and playing them, these were my 10 favorite experiences of 2020. What are yours? I'm sure it's very different. I'm not claiming to be a solo master like Mike DeLisio and Liz, who are much better at this than I am, but I am tipping my toe into the water, and these are the games I enjoyed most in 2020. I'm Tom Vasel. You've been watching The Dice Tower. We'll see you next time.